Hey guys, and welcome to another Walk-In Wednesday. Actually, it's been a long time since I did a Walk-In Wednesdays because we had so many collections to look at. But today is special, and I just want you to take a quick look at a singer. This actually did walk in the door, and today is Wednesday, so I thought it'd be appropriate to bring it to you. Now, if you remember, it was over a year ago that we did a video actually on 2.5 singers. And you'd have to, at the end, I'm going to give you the link to rewatch that video if you haven't seen it. But it has 250,000 views, so a lot of people are interested in the singer. Most of you know it's one of the most rare and valuable 1911s. This is a 1911 A1. It's one of the most rare guns out there, and they easily sell for $100,000 to $200,000. So if you're going to buy one, you want to get it right. Now we're going to take this one all apart and check every single part to make sure it's all original and authentic. The serial number ends in 42, so this is the 42nd one made, and I'm up against a black shirt. So let me come up a little bit closer and give you some quick tells on whether or not this is an original singer or one that's been messed with. Okay, first and foremost, you can see this is the Singer Manufacturing Company, and that's how the logo looks. It's Elizabeth, New Jersey, not too far from us here in Philadelphia. That's North Jersey. And you can also see that it's original finish. You do see that line that you see in the 1911 A1s, the line in the finish, just a little bit different where they dipped it in the blue. You also see some brown patina, which is no question this is original finish. Also, as you'll see, the finish on the Singer is somewhat unique to all of the other finishes, parkerized finished and brushed blue. So on a 1911 A1, the Singer, made in about 1940, has a very unique finish. So that's something you want to watch for. But let me give you a couple other tells. Now, like if I'm following an auction and they say they have a Singer, there's a couple things that I'm going to look at right away to tell whether or not it's worth my time to investigate it. They do fake these because at $100,000 you can get a really good one probably made up and sell on an auction to distance yourself from it and make a lot of money. So first and foremost is the logo, the factory logo. You want to take a look at that and make sure it looks like it was roll stamped and not engraved. Also, the inspector mark is unique. It's JKC, which is James K. Clements, and that would be unique. So a Singer will always have that. Those are obvious details, but I'm going to give you a couple other clues that are unique to Singer. Next, the serial number is the only one that the serial number begins with an S. That's not a 5, but that is an S. And then it'll be 800 and then the serial number. Serial numbers will go from 1 to 500. They only made 500 of them, so they go from 1 to 500. And as I mentioned, this is serial number 42. Okay, as I said, those are the obvious things. So let me give you some subtle things that nobody ever taught you when you're in grammar school. On the Singer, you will see the typical World War II. This is beveled on both sides. Should be the frame is beveled. We'll call it for the trigger finger rest. And if you're left-handed, you'll see that same bevel. On an earlier Colt from World War I or before, this is pre-World War I, there is no bevel. So let's look at those side by side and look at the frame itself. On the early guns, that's actually the 1911 no bevel. On the 1911 A1, the modification in the frame is beveled. Now, difference number 2, it will have the hump on the mainspring housing as opposed to the earlier gun, flat versus the humped. But now it gets even more subtle. Take a look at this. This is an early Colt 1911, and you can see it has a brushed blue finish. So you think, okay, these are both blued, but you see the difference between the Singer finish. It's, especially on this end, you can see more of the original. Right here, you see a lot of the original polished blue versus a brushed blue. So that's an interesting difference that you'll notice in the finish. And always check the finish because, of course, they could be refinished, and it's tough to duplicate that Singer finish. Now, this one, you do see notice the beveled frame. You also then see the hump on the mainspring housing. But let's look at the checkers. On the Singer, the checkering is finer. So it's a fine checkering versus a coarser checkering. You also, up under here and here, you can see the differences in the finish, brushed blue versus the Singer, more of a high polished blue. So again, it's completely unique for the Singer. Now, here's one other very subtle difference that nobody ever taught you. Check this out. On the Singer frame, this line, watch this line, well, my finger will follow the line. This line on the frame is one continuous line. So you see it almost like an S, one continuous line. On the Colt, so if somebody took a Colt frame, it would be beveled if it was an A1. Of course, you see RS, which is Robert Sears. But notice on this line, there's kind of a point and point. It's not much of a point. It's very, very subtle, but it is a difference in the frame. So let's look at them again side by side. One, we'll do a little bit of an angle. Do you see the difference? Here and here, you see a point in the line, whereas on the Singer, it's one continuous line. So that's interesting, sometimes hard to spot, but I was actually looking at an auction. And by the way, sometimes the frame is even a little more pointed than this, easier to see. But I did see a Singer for sale, and it did not have this continuous line. It did not have this continuous line. It had the more of a pronounced pointed line, and then this continuous line. So I immediately knew that it had been a Colt frame that somebody tried to make into a Singer. Now there's one other subtle difference that I want to show you, and that is on the slide. Notice on the slide of the Singer, right here, you see how that comes to a point? It almost is a 90-degree angle. Now look at the slide of the Colt at the same spot. Notice it's not a 90-degree edge, but it's slowly curved edge. So the Singer versus the Colt, the slide is different and the frame is different. If somebody tries to fake those, you're going to be able to tell because you watched this video. Now, let me make your life a little more complicated because I'm going to now show you a union switch and signal. So for all of the other 1911 A1s, they follow the Colt model, which had the different slide, the different frame, than the Singer. And that, however, on the union switch and signal, I did read that Union Switch and Signal, when they got the contract to make the 1911 A1s, they got the blueprints from Singer, who is no longer making them, of course. So they bought the blueprints from Singer. And you can verify that I'm not an expert on Singers, but I did read that online. And this would actually be verified by the frame. Notice these two frames. First of all, the Union Switch, the Parkerized finish, is actually a dew-light finish. That is very unique. Nobody would be fooled by that finish. However, if you just borrowed the frame and the slide, let's take a look at these subtle differences. Remember the continuous line? I find the Union Switch and Signal to have a continuous line here. Secondly, I mentioned the finer checkering. It's slightly different, but the Union Switch and Signal is known as having a finer checkering. Let's compare it to the Colt real quickly. Union Switch and Signal is certainly finer than the Colt, and somebody who really wants to check these more carefully, this is a little bit finer, but it does have the finer checkering, so that's tell number 2 would be hard to tell. And then finally, take a look at this edge on the Singer versus the Union Switch and Signal. Again, it follows the design of the Singer, which would lend credence to the theory that Union Switch and Signal use blueprints from the Singer factory. Okay, before I leave and send you to my previous video, I just remembered one other thing. On the Singer, the P proof, which is an inspector proof, firing proof, the P is upside down. On the Colt, you can see the P is right side up. Now on the Union Switch and Signal, by the way, it can be here or on a little bit on the side, but they are right side up versus the Singer upside down. And that was done after the finish. So I just wanted to do a real quick overview because let's face it, 99.9% of you are never going to buy a Singer in your life. This is the first time we've ever offered one on our website, so we're actually kind of excited about offering it to all of you. It's on the website now if you want to check it out. But again, most of you are never going to buy one, but it's a fun video to watch. And how could I let this go through my hands without showing it to you? But let me encourage you to go ahead and get more information about the Singers by going to our video right here on this link. You can go to the video about the Singer, and it gives you a lot of the history of the gun, why they made them, and why they stopped making them. So check it out. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel.